I think it's gonna work now. Okay. So we are waiting for my guest to connect. Hello. I hope. Okay, we have some new. Oh, okay. Let's see. Okay, so it's working now. Very good. I think we're on time. I thank everybody who is connecting and is having patience to see whether this live stream is working. I think we had some connection problems. Before we start and before I invite my guest to join me, I would like to introduce a little bit myself for those who do not know me. But she's here, so I will just let her in and we start. Okay, let's see. Hello, Nancy.
Hi, Angela. Hi, everyone.
Hi. Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes. Thank you.
Oh, that's good. Very good. Weird. So, okay, I'm back. I don't know what happened. Sorry, everybody. So, hello, good morning, because it's 11 a.m., so it's not so early, but you still have the whole day.
Yes, good morning and good afternoon to you and everyone.
So, usually I start with a brief introduction. Because we managed to have you online immediately, then I had you in, and I guess we have some guests that do not know me or do not know you, so we'll start introducing myself, and then I will, leave you to let you to talk, and we have lots to talk today about. For those who don't know me, I'm based in Milan. Which is usually very famous for fashion, but now it's even getting more popular because of this situation. So I hope we're gonna get back to popularity for fashion rather than some late news. The reason we are holding this, I'm carrying this interview is because I have started this game that actually had bloomed all over the world, obviously, because we're all in the same situation about shopping in our wardrobe to keep our mood high and our motivation high and get maybe inspired for new ideas. Because I'm a personal image consultant myself, and part of the things that I tell my clients is, make sure that you take care of yourself. So I have to be the first one to follow my own advice. So that's how everything started a few weeks ago. And once I started also noticing that somebody else was shooting videos. And that's how I got in contact with Nancy. By the way, I was already following your page because I have been conducting some research about fashion inclusion and what fashion is doing to make everybody feel better. So not just who, can wear standard sizes, but everybody. Because we're all asked to get dressed at some point and get out of the house, go to work or whatever. And we need to feel comfortable with what we wear. So I started conducting this research, and that's how I got to your page, and this is how I would like to also develop some awareness about how we can, especially personal stylists, because I think as stylists we have a mission to help everybody. At least for me, that this is something that I really care about, and I think we have this mission to understand how we can also approach disability, any type of disability and diversity, with beauty, and not just with, therapies, medicines, and everything else, which is not something that, of course, interests me now to talk about. But I think beauty and, harmony can heal the world. So, and I think you also share this idea. And when I saw that you shot this video about how you should take care of yourself even if you're at home and maybe you don't have a specific goal in your day, but taking care of yourself can actually help you out. So this is how we met, and I'm leaving you to say something about yourself and also, a little bit your point of view about this game and how everything started. So Nancy, please.
Thank you so much. That's a great intro, and I'm so happy that you reached out, that we found each other and can have this conversation, because it's so important every day, and I feel like it's even that much more important since we're all staying home, staying safe. And the video that I think you first saw, or the one in particular, was when I commented how I was wearing those comfy clothes too for about 4 days straight. And I'm still working in my office every day, working the business. And I realized probably at day 4, I did feel differently. It made an impact on me. And I made a conscious decision to get up, get dressed, do my hair and makeup. I told some friends, and then I thought, let me shoot this video, because that's what a lot of smart adaptive clothing is about. It's about building confidence and giving people, helping them regain independence or maintain independence. And, it makes a difference. And even putting on, this is funny, it's so true, which is why I'm giggling. I even put on my favorite shoes. So today I'm wearing my snakeskin boots. I'm sitting at my desk having this fantastic conversation with all of you, but it goes down to the boots, and I'm wearing faux leather black pants, even my perfume. So it's about keeping routine. That's what is working for me. So I wanted to share that with others, and especially our friends with a disability or maybe a chronic disease. It's about feeling good, keeping that routine, because it makes a difference. So I'm so thrilled to be here having this conversation.
Well, thank you. I really, and I was thrilled about it, but I'm also a little bit, how would I say, I would have so many things to ask you, and there is so much to say. And of course, everybody who is listening now to us, you can write all your questions, and we will make sure that we answer everything. Fashion inclusion and what is there out there that can help everybody feel more comfortable is so important to me, because as a personal stylist, usually my clients, 99% of my clients are like, they don't love themselves, they don't like their body, there's something wrong about their body, and they're trying to solve body problems, but correct something. So this is something that actually happens every day in everyday lives. You can have a standard size, but maybe you're too tall for standard, or you're too petite, or you're too curvy, or you're too thin. There's always something that is not enough, and then and this is true almost for everybody, at least how our perception is. And I believe that there is so much more that we can do. And when I saw what you were doing, I thought, okay, so there is something out there that is not just functional, that is not just, that just doesn't just cover you, but actually is nice to see, is comfortable to wear, of course, is nice to wear, and it's trendy. So can you tell us something about how it was born, how your brand was born, and why did you choose to start something like this, because here in Italy, and if somebody is actually listening to me from Italy, I might get unpopular, but it's true. We don't have so much. There is something, but there is. I think there is so much more that we can do, and abroad there is so much more. So I think you're a very nice example. How did it all start?
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's so interesting. It started out of a personal reason. So I was actually in corporate America for over 20 years in medical device sales and sales management. And my father went into assisted living because he needed help. And after he was there, he broke the same hip 2 times and his hand, his wrist, all within about 12 months. So my dad was someone who always looked nice, wore a button-down shirt and slacks, nothing fancy, but always presented himself well. But after those breaks, the hip break and the wrist break, the nurses and aides didn't want to take time, and I stress that they didn't want to take the time to dress my father in the clothing he always wore. They suggested that he wear sweatshirts, pullover sweats, and pull-up sweatpants. And that's when I said to myself, there has to be a better way. There has to be a solution. So I thought about this for quite some time, and I realized, it would help someone like my dad, the caregivers in his assisted living, caregivers like us at home, family and friends. The chances are we all know someone who struggles with dressing. And that really made an impression on me. So unfortunately, my father passed away in the summer of 2016. And this continued to, flood my thoughts. I knew I could do something. I knew I could have a solution. So a year and a half later, I left my corporate career where I thought I would retire, and I started Smart Adaptive Clothing. And it's because I want people to have their dignity, their independence, to look good. So when someone enters a room, whether you walk, roll in, use crutches, a cane, or some other device, or someone helps you, I want to help someone lead with their style. So you see that person, I'm literally getting the chills. When you see someone enter a room, you see them, you see their style, and everything else is just there.
Yeah. I think there's so much, as I said, I'm conducting some studies also about disability itself as in general, and how it is perceived. And there's so much about it, and there are so many stereotypes, and so much about the wrong perception that we have about disability that affects who does not have a disability, but also who suffers from a disability and is influenced by this perception. I don't know if you get the idea. It's like sometimes some people, it happens in general, but of course for people with disabilities, sometimes they think they do not deserve to take the time to take care of themselves. And so they don't, somehow they don't even care because they think they shouldn't.
Right.
And I believe that if it comes from somebody who has experienced it personally, of course it makes a different impact. I remember some years ago, I think it was maybe 10, 11 years ago, I was talking to a manager in a very important association. And we were talking about women that were, recovering from cancer. And I thought maybe we can, also help them in their beauty routine, because of course they're probably suffering, they're having some therapies to do, but they would also like to see themselves in a different way because they changed. And this person told me, no, they don't care about that. They're just, they just want to feel better. But I firmly believe, because actually my first customer was a lady who was, recovering, and and she was so excited about going shopping, even if, everything in her body had changed and she didn't have her hair anymore. So she was waiting for it to regrow. But she was so enthusiastic about going shopping and trying on things and putting on makeup and try on different scarves. So the beauty thing is not as superficial as many people think.
Right.
And it can have a very high impact on, obviously, on emotions, and not only on how, of course, on how other perceive you, but how you want to be perceived. So this is, there's so much to say about it. And I did have some questions for you because I changed my location today. So what are your clients in general? What do they look for? Why do they come to you? What do they find special?
Great questions. So they come to me for a series of reasons, and it could be a number of different indications. So people are coming to Smart Adaptive Clothing because they love the style. They, as you mentioned, the trend. And a blouse I'm wearing, I'll just show you. So it's blue. I call it a French blue crush. And there's a Hawaiian print inside. You can see the collar and on the cuffs. So, everyone deserves the same things, regardless if you have a disability or Parkinson's, a chronic disease, maybe you have a short-term injury. At the end of the day, everyone wants the same thing. So people come to Smart Adaptive Clothing for something stylish, for something that's easy to put on. And we keep the button on the front placket, the closure, and the cuff, so it appears to be traditional, but we use Velcro behind each button for easy on, easy off. So they come to us for the style, the soft feel, easy care, wrinkle resistant, and that no one knows this shirt is adaptive, this blouse is adaptive, or a shirt. So you could look like everyone else with your own style, but
right.
There's no alarm saying this is different.
Right. So yeah, we have a comment says beauty has always been a problem for disabled people, especially for women. Because I think sometimes we, in general, even if we're affected directly or indirectly, we think that that we don't, that disability goes with not caring about certain superficial stuff, So, so I don't have to be beautiful if I have a disability. I don't have to care. I shouldn't care about that, which is so wrong. There's another comment. I have mine on now, Mary, talking to casting director on Zoom later.
Okay.
So yeah, I think that's another great point. And do you like, for example, I was talking to one of my clients, and we were talking about, for example, coats or like such normal items that are harder to find in shops because, for example, if they're on a wheelchair or if they are using, special other special devices, and like normal clothes do not fit. So do you have like a special collection also for people on wheelchairs, or do you offer like personal customization of some items if they need that?
Really good point and great question. So right now we are focusing on blouses for women. We just launched a shirt dress for women, and then the COVID-19 hit. So we're not in production on that. We're about to take pre-orders. And for men, we have shirts. So right. We will have, yes. And people who are in a seated position in a wheelchair, they could also wear these garments because maybe they have neuropathy or paralysis and they don't have your traditional functionality with your fingers. they can't, they don't have fine motor skills. So the blouse could help people in a wheelchair for that reason. And we definitely want to get into some more apparel specifically for people in a seated position. We're just trying to build and scale this first so we do it right and don't spread ourselves too thin.
Of course. So we can also, if somebody who is listening now has some suggestions, I think that would be useful. As a stylist, I also, I can talk to you about all the techniques in the world and how to use colors, but then you have to use them in the right way in different situations. So, but the fact that you are focusing on blouses, for example, or shirts, that is really so important, because that is the power V. That is the part of your body that everybody looks at. And if that part of your body, so your face, your hair, your shoulders, if that part somehow looks nice and it looks pleasant, then everything else looks pleasant. So I think you're starting from the right part, and also the fact that you use colors. Usually I see so many things that have. Okay, colors are not boring, but let's say that there are some colors that are more exciting than others.
Right.
So the fact that you're using colors, I think that's so great, because that really gives energy, and that really stimulates not just who's wearing that, but also who's looking at the person who's wearing the color. So that is really so nice. Do you use special fabrics, for example, or
Yes.
is there?
I do. May I just pan? I have some clothing behind me, since you mentioned the colors. So
Yeah, of
folks
course.
who are new, thank you. Folks who are new, I have a clothing rack here, and just a number of items that we have here. So it is about, being yourself and being bold and saying, you know what, I deserve to look as best as I can, and I'm going out there with, a red top or the white blouse with the polka dots. And I do use special fabrics. So the fabrics we have now, the blue top that I'm wearing, and the other items, they have UV protection and moisture wicking properties. So folks with different ailments are susceptible to sun exposure if you're on medication, like someone with Parkinson's disease, or insert the disease with certain medication, you could get a sunburn faster. And then the moisture wicking properties are great, for someone who, remember the days when we were all in an office, someone liked the heat, the temperature high, someone liked it cold. So those properties will remove the perspiration from your body. It's easy to care for. You can wash and hang dry, or you can dry clean the men's or the shirt dress. So that is top of mind. It's very soft and comfortable, because that's also important if you're talking about someone who may have a disability or a chronic disease, sensory issues. So that's all extremely important when we choose fabric.
Right. So that's so great. Actually, I would like to see that in person. So one day when I cross the ocean again, then I'll be able to do that. We have a nice comment from Fashionista who is listening to us. Fashion is the most powerful tool to make people look past disability and instead see the person for who they really are. This is so true. Even if I'm working in personal styling, it's been almost 12 years now, I still have people telling me, but I'm the same person if I'm wearing, my pajama, or if I'm wearing a more formal suit. It's true that you're the same person, but other people don't know. Right. So unless they know your story, they need to understand something about you from how you appear. So either you appear in your best way possible, or you're given the tools to appear in your best way possible, or probably somebody's missing the chance. So this is so true. I mean, this works for everybody, and especially for those people who are somehow affected by stereotypes. You know, there are so many facts also about, for example, curvier people, you know, and heavier people, and how they're perceived, or for people who smoke. So smokers are perceived in a different way, you know. So there are stereotypes for everything, and this is why I think we should all have the right tools to you know, express ourselves in the best way possible. But you have also been featured. I mean, you won one or two prizes. You won some prizes, and you've been featured on Grazia, on Forbes. Can you tell us something more about that?
Sure. Yes, I've been so fortunate, and many people are helping us and gain exposure, which is so important because that helps us reach people who can benefit from our clothing. So yes, at Grazia, I think last March, that was such a major thing. So I was part of Philadelphia Fashion Incubator over the past year. And that's a program that is all about building and scaling a successful fashion brand. So our executive director was actually in Italy teaching classes. And in her interview too, she mentioned about smart adaptive clothing, what we do, etc. And we were mentioned there. And in Forbes recently, I think that was either November or December of last year, we were mentioned, and how it's a new trend and the need for folks with adaptive clothing, with disabilities, etc. And that was really fun too, because it was also an article about Nike and modest clothing, which is also needed. And I was a finalist on a couple of things with QVC. Are you familiar with QVC?
Yes.
Oh, good. So QVC did a global search last year called the Big Find. And they were looking for new and innovative products that change people's lives. So I was a finalist in that search. And then a design Philadelphia contest. I was one of the finalists in design, where other folks designed parks and a running watch. So all kinds of different type of design. It wasn't just clothing. Well, actually, I was the only person doing clothing. So, you know, the need, it's everywhere. And as I mentioned in the beginning, and I say this all the time, chances are we all know someone who struggles with dressing. And becoming a finalist, getting that exposure, having people learn about us, because the biggest challenge is that someone doesn't know there is clothing out there. Excuse me. Clothing out there that could help make their life easier and could help empower, that's inclusive and build you that build confidence. And even though we are the same person in the pajamas or evening wear, my personal opinion is I think you have a different step. You have a different posture when you're in your casual clothes versus dressy. So I think that's where just pick your favorite thing. Whatever, is it your blouse? Is it your shirt? Is it your jeans? Is it your shoes? Put that on while we're home. But your hashtag shop the wardrobe.
Yeah, no, I mean, when I started, I thought, should I do this? Maybe it's not really, you know, we're living in such a weird moment that maybe people will not care about it. And then somebody told me, no, do that, because I'm spending the whole day in my tracksuit and I want to be motivated to do something different. So I still think that was a good idea, and probably was one of the first, because Italy, as you know, was the first, I mean, after China, to lock down. And I guess that was like, I was a pioneer in shopping our wardrobe. But it's true that you feel different. I mean, I have to say, because I use lots of purple and red and fuchsia, but as you could see, so I'm calming myself down with some blue and green. Because sometimes I feel like, how can I say that, over excited about things. So and I guess I have to, I'm trying to share my excitement with everybody, so I don't have too much. but it's true. It does make you feel different. It does you make you feel different even if you brush your teeth before going on a conference call, even if nobody will notice that you have, brushed your teeth or not. So that's it's true. You feel different, and everybody needs to feel the way they want to feel. So that's really I completely agree with that. Let's see if we have some new let's see. Sorry. Okay. Of course I have my daughter now. Okay. There she is. Okay. Yes, just a little bit. We're going live. We're live with lots of people. And so as you let's see, maybe we have a new comment. Oh, we have a comment. This is such a great and interesting conversation. Thank you. Thank you for sharing time with us. Okay, so is there something that you would like to add that maybe, I don't know, I should ask? Or something, or you have some projects that are coming in next, something that you can talk about?
Sure. So one thing that we didn't touch on yet is how helpful this clothing is for caregivers too. So a caregiver could be a family member, it could be a professional, whether you're in a short-term rehab after, say, shoulder surgery or hip surgery, or a friend. So if we just take a moment and think of someone who may have a disability or an injury I just mentioned, and someone else is dressing that person. Maybe someone has an intellectual disability or a cognitive issue and they cannot follow directions, the audible directions. So sorry about that. They get anxious and then maybe combative. So just think of someone who is struggling with dressing and then you have to button each button for that person. Well, now you can just tap down the Velcro and it makes everyone's life easier and there's more style and comfort and confidence. So I think that's...
Yeah. I was thinking about caregivers this morning, talking to a friend of mine, and I thought, we're lucky enough to, be well, be healthy. Fortunately, none from my family has been, directly hit by the virus. But that doesn't mean that we cannot do anything or that we shouldn't think that we should be taking care of ourselves first, because so we are always, in full power of taking care of somebody else if needed. So thinking also about who needs to take care of somebody else, that's very smart. And I think that, yes, the people who who see the problem, but they don't understand how to solve that, and they don't have the tools to do that, then obviously there's lots of embarrassment. There's you maybe feel, are you going to hurt somebody, or are you going to offend somebody, or you don't know how to behave. And I'm the first one, I always, when I talk to professionals or to people with disabilities, I always say, if I say a wrong word, tell me, because obviously sometimes you don't know, basically. So you have to learn. And I think that taking care of people, taking care of somebody else, that's really very smart. And I think lots of people are thanking you for that, because you're making life easier to everybody.
Thank you so much.
And there's another comment. I wish I had it for my father. I would have to go help him button his shirts. He had diabetes and not much feeling in his fingers. That's another thing, I guess.
Yes, exactly. I mean, it's almost limitless as to who we can help, because that's a great example. So if this person they didn't have their fine motor skills, they couldn't feel it.
Right.
Oftentimes after cancer treatment, there is that same thing, that neuropathy, that loss of feeling, or with the spinal cord injury and paralysis. So it's things that maybe we don't think of until we know someone who has that situation.
Right, right. So I hope more and more people, as we said, maybe some people do not know that something for them exists.
Right.
Like for just a very like case that happened to me. I had a client who would be a petite, okay, so shorter than 1.60 m, and when I told her, this is just to show or show people who are listening to us that we are all actually different and we all have the same problems, and most of us cannot find the right solutions in shops. So this client of mine was like, I cannot find the right clothes for me because she's shorter than the standard, right? And I said, well, there are some brands, not many, but there are some brands that make clothes for petite women. And she said, really? So the thing is that really sometimes we feel we have a special need, being it, a smaller size in shoes or a specific shirt or a coat, but we don't know that probably there is something out there for us.
Right.
And the fact, and this is also something that I would like to do more and more, talk about that and more involve who is looking for a solution, because maybe we can help shape fashion in a different way. There's lots of talking now about sustainability, of course, about slowing down with the frantic rhythms of fashion. And I hope that this discussion that is, bringing us to the future of fashion will also involve more awareness about fashion inclusion, about general inclusion. So that means that I think little brands, and I think you're quite brave, because it's obviously harder for smaller brands to get into a new niche, while bigger brands would have bigger margins to develop collections. So I think that's very brave, and so that's really, really, really nice. Let's see. If you have questions, please type them, or if you have any special needs that you would like to share or special requests, we will try to have the right answer for you. So yeah. If we get some comments. And do you have more requests from women or from men or from caregivers? Who is like the first contact?
It is such an interesting question. I actually just got this yesterday too. It's almost 50-50. If we're talking men or women, it's literally almost 50-50. And then depending on where I am, so I've done trade shows, I've exhibited at trade shows, one of which is called Abilities Expo, and they are throughout the United States. I know there's another version similar in the UK, and I can't recall the name in the UK, but when I'm there, it's a lot of, that trade show is for people with disabilities and their caregivers. So there are a lot of parents there asking for their children.
Right.
And we don't make children's clothes yet. I see that in the future. I'm not sure at what time, but yes, it's almost 50-50, men and women, and then the caregivers, they love it too. And, it's getting in front of them so they too know they can help someone and help themselves.
Right. Yeah. There's few basics. Says, hi Nancy, this is wonderful. And then there's Dave saying, I love how fashion and style can promote inclusion. What do you wish the fashion industry do for being more inclusive? So what do you think fashion should do?
Well, my hope is that smart adaptive clothing and other adaptive brands become mainstream. So when you go into a shopping mall, a store, whether you're in the United States or Italy or South America, when you go into a store or a boutique, you can pick up adaptive clothing just like you can pick up any other item right now. So it shouldn't be, my hope is that it's not a special niche.
Right.
But you can pick it up anywhere. Because because that will help everyone benefit, and there's enough opportunity for everyone. And to bring that around to the question, I see other brands right now doing this. And just to be very helpful, Tommy Hilfiger has a brand called Tommy Adaptive. And I am personally so thrilled that Tommy Hilfiger saw this need and he jumped on it. So, I mean, he's amazing. He's a brand that has been successful and known around the world for years. So, you know, when Tommy Hilfiger does something, it's important. And,
yeah. I think you pointed out, of course, we probably can say kind of a pioneer among the big brands.
Right.
When I saw that, I was obviously very impressed, because that means that something is changing. Right. On the other hand, talking also with our clients or friends, they were like, but you know, maybe the situation is different in the US. I don't know. I may assume, but sometimes people with disabilities have lower incomes, or they have different, you know, family situations or social situations. So higher brands that are a little bit more expensive might have good ideas, but might be a little bit unreachable. So the fact that your collection is more affordable, probably it makes it, you know, closer to people, and it makes it more real also, I guess. Like, you know, since it's reachable and affordable.
I do think there's truth to that too. I agree with that too. And I feel like there are different brands and different price points, because everyone has their own unique situation. And given that fact, do you mind if I share something that we just added on our website?
No, of course.
So we just added a program on our website, and someone can purchase our clothing and you'll get the garment immediately, but you can pay it in 4 installments.
Oh, okay. That's great.
Yeah. So exactly for that reason, it's even more approachable, affordable, etc. for folks. So it's super exciting. We just added that last week because we listen to our consumer, we listen to our clients.
Yeah, I think that's also a great idea, because there is, you know, they talk a lot. We women are in fashion now. There's so much talking about empowering women and, you know, but women leadership. But there's so much talking also about how the society can empower people with disability that usually are left behind and at home, who are not given, you know, real and appropriate job opportunities. Mm-hmm. That's also, maybe you're given a job, but it doesn't have anything to do with you, or it's just not, I mean, your skills are much higher, and your competencies are so much higher, but because you have a disability, you're not even given the chance to try. So now here in Italy, for example, there's lots of talking about what can companies do to be more inclusive in that sense. But then there's less talking about how these people can feel more empowered and feel more confident to present to a job interview. Mm-hmm. So maybe they have the skills, but maybe they're not so prepared of how to face an interview. They're not trained on that part. So I think something like this, and fashion companies that are giving the opportunity to feel comfortable and also don't feel loaded by, let's say, higher prices, or, you know, that are ready for them. That also can help in these situations. So that the work environment is evolving. It is more positive towards people with different disabilities, and I think fashion should follow that and be, you know, accompany everybody and these people to feel more empowered when they're looking for the right job. So that's a great thing. So thank you for sharing. That's the very.
May I add something to that?
Of course.
I am so happy you mentioned that. It's so important because in the current situation, oftentimes someone with a disability that doesn't have what they call, I can't do quotes, as what's called appropriate clothing, they may not get the interview because they don't have professional clothing. Or maybe they're already employed and they don't have that professional clothing. So even though they have the same skill sets as someone else, or maybe better, they may not get the promotion because of their attire. Now we can help folks easy on, easy off, dress themselves, easy to fasten and unfasten. So it can help people who are already out there in the professional world get to the next level or even have the interview. So again, thank you for mentioning that. That is so important.
Yeah. I think that's another thing that not many people or enough people are thinking about. In the same way as, there's so much empowering activities and proposals for women, then it should be for everybody else who is suffering from some kind of exclusion from the society or from the work environment. I think the sun is changing and it's blinding me, but it's okay. At least today I have some light. So what are you planning on some what's gonna come after the COVID? So what do you have some new product that you can share with us, or will you be shooting videos daily of your outfits and how to take care of yourself because you have quite a big community?
We do. We're really very fortunate, and hopefully we both share communities after today. So we will go into production with our shirt dresses once everything opens up again. People are going, they love it. They love the shirt dresses. They can't wait to get it because anyone can wear a shirt dress and you don't have to need the clothing to wear it. So that's coming around the corner. Some short sleeves will probably be around the corner, 2 or 3/4 length blouses for ladies. And then a couple of items I can't tell you yet. I have to keep a mystery. And we're going to, we're in the process of opening up another wholesale account. It's a major online retailer, but I can't tell you yet. So stay tuned once the ink is dry.
So much going on.
Yes.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm. And I'll continue to do videos because I think it's fun. And, we're all going through the same thing. We're in this together. And sometimes it's nice just to get a reminder of stick to your routine. And you know what? Wear your clothes, wear your professional clothes or your nicer clothes once in a while too, so you make sure that they fit.
Yes. Oh, yes. When I started trying on my pants after like 2 weeks, I was like, okay, I should come down.
Seriously, it's important. So for no other reason, make sure they fit.
Yeah, that's true. And I think you said a very true thing about keeping the routine, because it's okay a few days, maybe a week. Okay, you're 2 weeks on vacation, and that's one thing. But when you're stuck at home and you don't understand when it's day or when it's night or where you're eating or where you're working. I know, the ladies that I interviewed a couple of days ago, they take care of organizing space and time. And I know they would be laughing now, but it's true. You need the routine, and you need to make a difference between, the working time and your relaxed time, even if you're at home, but you still have things to do probably, or you have projects that you want to develop, or you're looking for new solutions. And I'm sure that wearing the right things in the right colors that are comfortable for home, but they make you feel well, then they will, of course, inspire new ideas. And I think there's so much going on around the world. So many ideas are blooming, and I can't wait to see that. So what are the feedbacks from your community when they saw your video at first?
People loved it. We got comments of, I'll try it. That's a great idea. I wish I had thought of it. I just think it's one of those things that you don't realize it's happening, right?
Yeah.
And then fortunately I realized that I like to get dressed and I like to wear a dress and I love this clothing. So, I'm working every day. I'm working on the business every day. And I personally felt there's a difference. There's a different level of how you approach things. At least.
Yeah. I agree.
You agree?
Of course. That's why I keep on shooting videos. That's also commitment to myself first. So
they're great videos. They're fun too. And your color comments today, so everyone should follow you.
Thank you. Yeah, I actually chose the colors right for today. So, I'm glad I had this in my wardrobe because I'm not buying anything new. I'm waiting for, when I will go out shopping for something new. But I'm trying to use my wardrobe 100%. So maybe that's what's happening to your community, and maybe somebody will notice that they're missing that key piece that you have in your collection and get back to you with like a straight idea of what they want. The specific idea of what they want. So maybe somebody is now writing a shopping list for smart adaptive clothing. I hope so.
I hope so too. Please do, and send us your ideas. We're happy to learn and get feedback. We love feedback.
Well, we still have some minutes if somebody has questions or comments. Let me see. We have some thank you notes. There's a comment from Stephanie. It is so important for all of us to feel stylish and beautiful. Thank you for acknowledging this and making it a reality. So thank you, Nancy.
Thank you. What a nice comment. Thank you, and you're welcome.
Then somebody says exciting. Somebody says, and our stores. Oh, sorry, it starts from here. I have an inclusive fashion Brazilian profile, and that's Alicia, I think. And here the problem that is, it is impossible to create a cloth for different disabilities, and our stores aren't accessible for them. So there are also. Probably everything comes from the culture that we also need to change. So there's lots to do in educating a different point of view and a different perspective towards many things, and in this case, disabilities. So that is such a great comment.
Yes.
There's so much to do, which is challenging, but it's a positive thing. So somebody says, wonderful, and it says, thank you, Nancy, from fellow Philly designer. You were an inspiration while I was designing my inclusive collection for Project Runaway. Oh, this is Nancy from, oh my God, from Project Runaway. I saw your voice. Thank you for following us and for being here.
Thank you.
Somebody says, do you make to order? What's the turnaround time? How about with children adaptive apparel? We said probably it's coming. Then Tina says, I've had people ask for accessories to be able to help transfer or maneuver them, like a loop on the pen. These are some ideas.
I love it. I love all of it. Thank you. And so we don't do customization yet. That may happen. That's very, very specific. And I don't know of anyone in the field who's doing that, or I would suggest it. But I definitely see that happening in the future. Yeah,
I think that can be very useful, and I think the most inspirations and indication about specific needs, the more you will be able to develop a collection that is, right for the right people. So this is so exciting. Somebody else says, absolutely great conversation, and somebody says, great discussion. Thank you. Thank you. Looking forward for the new colors. Oh, I'm excited about colors, as you know. So, we can talk about that another time again.
I going to reach out to you about that. Yes, for sure.
There's so much to say about this. Thank you. Very interesting topic. That's Chiara from Italy. So we have some Italians as well following in English.
Yeah.
That was my biggest concern. But thank you. So we still have some minutes if you want to add anything, or if we have some more questions. If not, if you can start. I mean, everybody who's listening, you can go on posting questions, and we'll make sure to answer them. Or you can write to me or to Nancy directly through her page, and I'm sure she will get back to you. We have an okay from Fashionista. Yeah, that actually Fashionista was another inspiration for me when I started looking for something about fashion and inclusion. And she said something that really inspired me, and my article last for Diversity, a magazine that is here in Europe. Thank you for sharing this conversation. Well, thank you for being with us. And I apologize if sometimes I get stuck with my English. But the thing is that I care so much about this topic, and the thing that I'm not mother tongue makes it a little bit difficult sometimes to get the right word. So thank you for following. We have lots of hearts.
Oh, good. Your English is perfect, and thank you for speaking English for us.
Well, thank you. Thank you both for all your information. Well, thank you, Mary.
Thank you.
We'll have more. I'm planning to have more conversations with people directly involved with fashion inclusion and inclusion in general. So I hope we will, and I'm sure we will have other chances to speak again. Hello. And I'm really looking forward to see the developments and where this is all taking us. I'm thrilled to be involved, and I think there's the future is bright as far as this is concerned, especially because there's such a big community that is, so hungry for new things. And thank you both so much for this important conversation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, then, Nancy, we said so many things, and there's so much else to say. Thank you for doing this. Thank you. And my daughter is saying goodbye as well.
Oh, gosh, she's adorable.
So, if there are no more questions, you still have 24 hours to watch this video unless we have managed to record it somehow. And of course, if you have additional questions, we're here to answer. Thank you, Nancy. All the best for this moment and for your collection. I'm looking forward to see the new items coming in. And we keep on being in touch.
Absolutely. Thank you, Angela. Everyone for your comments and tuning in, and yes, we'll stay in touch and make a difference and help everyone lead with confidence.
Thank you. Thank you so much for what you're doing.
Thank you.
Goodbye, everybody, and we'll catch up next week with new interviews. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.